Alright. Welcome to Taiwan. Just looking at my battery bank just to make sure we're okay. And I noticed it got a big ding in it. Oh well, no big deal. How's everybody doing? It's Thursday night. I'm going to take off my mask. I am outside, and I'm technically supposed to wear a mask outside. But I got something so I can eat. Dave, how are you? Fist bump? I am. That's right. At the Jarjar store, and the lights just went out. Wow. That's what happens. So you know what we do when the lights go out. You light the lantern. I don't know why I'm being so romantic. I'm alone. Oh. I feel like Rodney Dangerfield when he says that. So how's everyone doing this evening? We're at the famous Jarjar store, and we should have a good connection. And you know what? I like the Kaohsiung location a lot. I usually don't show my face. I show the background. You know, I got no problem showing that at all. Like the cars going by here, if you want to see that. But this particular spot is historic for me because when I first started using the Broadcast app, it was here at this store that most of my followers had decided that they wanted to check Broadcast out. And they had installed the app. And we had a really, really nice live stream discussion here. Good morning, Dean. Fist bump to you. And Mike, fist bump to you too. Wow. All right. Whole gang's coming in tonight. And as I recall, altogether, I think I had over 400, maybe 450 views that night, which is nice. That was a nice time. That was a nice app. Let me do this. It's one of our recycling aunties there. Got a bag of stuff, you know, like plastic and aluminum cans and bottles. You can see right here a little bit of the gooseneck. But yep, back at this place now. Everyone should be really used to this location by now, I would think. And I can smell the IKEA lantern with that classic heated metal smell, you know. All stoves get that too. You sure wouldn't want to touch that thing. Sometimes, you know, I'll make a nice bubble bath for Phoenix. And I don't mind telling you, MJ himself likes a nice bubble bath too. I just have never done a live stream on a bubble bath, except on my OnlyFans. But, hey Ken, how you doing? Fist bump to you too. This is actually making a nice little light. It's working pretty cool. You can really see the difference. See if I cover it with my hand. But I'll make a bubble bath. Yeah, thank you, Dave. For Phoenix, you know, I have a nice S hook, and I'll hook this thing up over the railing, and I have a battery-powered radio. It's a really nice radio. It's actually a shortwave radio, and it's really important. If you're going to take a bath with a radio, it's got to be a battery radio. And even if it's a battery radio and it has like a 9-volt battery charger, you need to unplug all of that and keep that out of the anywhere from near the bathtub. Just get it out of the restroom. But I will play classical music for her while she splashes around in the bubble bath. And a candle lantern, and it's really nice. Come to think of it, I haven't done that for a while. You know? I need to do that again. Because I tell you what, it helps. It sure helps with things like stress. And you know what, another thing I used to do, we are, wow. That says, Dave can read that. That says Tzatzoupi, which means this is deep fried pork skin. These are pork rinds and they're crunchy. What I'm going to say is that everybody is suffering from anxiety and stress today. I don't care who you are. You don't even have to have a job. If you have any responsibilities at all, and even if you have minimal responsibilities, if you have a TV or you watch YouTube and you see what's going on in the world, there's no way you can not have any stress. All these little things that you can do make a difference. And you know, something I used to do when I was in my early 20s, I was in Boston. I was working in the, you know, in the music business. I had a working, gigging band, but I also had a full-time job because I was trying to finance a studio that I was building, right? And the job was actually pretty cool. It didn't really interfere with anything. It started early in the morning, and I was off work by 3:30 in the afternoon. And even if I had to play during the week, I got off work so early that I could catch a couple hours sleep and then go perform, you know. So it actually was pretty good. But sometimes I would just come home from work and there's a big open field next to my house. And I would just fly a kite for like an hour or 2 hours, you know. Yes, it does. Speaking of dry, I'll tell you what else goes with them. Filipino rum. You guys know me. What do you guys think? Is my hair getting thin? You guys know me a long time. I think it's getting thinner. I also think it really doesn't matter that much. I mean, it doesn't, you know, it always matters to the person more than other people. Other people don't even notice it. But anyway, I'm keeping it cut a little bit shorter. I'm wiggling here as I'm using the arm. I'm not using my gimbal. But I used to just fly my kite. And that was a lot of fun. I would just, you know, hold the string and I would, you know, feel the pull of the wind and just look at it. Sometimes the wind would grab it and it would, you know. Candle, brother. This is a candle lantern. This is a real thing. I can blow this out. This is from IKEA. It's so far away that you really can't see you can't see that it's a candle in it because it's blowing out the exposure, but it's a candle lantern. I think it says, doesn't it say candle lantern in the title of the video? It should. Unless I messed it up again. Oh, I found today. They have my favorite Indonesian tea. This is called POCI, Poki, and let me see, it's 30 NT, so it's $1. But this is vanilla. This is vanilla tea. It's Indonesian tea. It's black tea with, see how it says vanilla on it, you know? So there you go. And it's $1 for these. It's really great. And I think there's, how many are in here? Is it 20? Yeah, 25 bags for $1, so not bad. So I'll be enjoying this tomorrow. They ran out. I like Indonesian tea. I've been, drinking it for many years, so. They really are, Mike. They really are. And I would just let it out. And of course, you got to wind it up. And so I had one of those things with the cranks like this. I'd wind it up. It takes 20 minutes or something, Sometimes I would just lay down. And it's like, just wrap it around my wrist or something, Oh, yeah. Sounds good to me. I like vanilla and I like cinnamon in rum. Remember some of my friends had a cookout and we bring whatever we want, and I had some of those bottles of rum that you guys have seen where I put cinnamon in it and I put vanilla, and I went to Costco and got some of those real vanilla beans, and I slid them and I scraped them, the whole thing, but I put them all in there. Put the skins in and that stuff, and I left it in there for like a week. Did the same thing with the cinnamon, and the cinnamon I did a really proper infusion instead of just pouring it in. See, I've gotten lazy, but I used to painstakingly pour the rum through the cinnamon with a filter. Now, I made the mistake of using one of those permanent conical stainless steel coffee filters. Well, it no longer works because that's funny. They probably do. Because cinnamon doesn't dissolve. It's the bark of a tree. So it's just basically ground up tree bark. And that's what it is. So you gotta see the LEDs on it and everything. So it doesn't work anymore because it's all what am I trying to say? It's all clogged up and I can't clean it. So I tried running hot water through it and stuff because it's the bark of a tree. So don't ever do that. But what I used to do was I used to use coffee filters, and it would take me an hour, like 45 minutes to an hour, to take a 700 milliliter bottle and process it through cinnamon. And so then I started getting these little tea pouches. What it is they're little bags, and they're made out of like filter paper material. And you put tea in them and you wrap them up. You guys have seen those, and there's a little band around it, and then you stuff it. And I was doing that for a while, stuff it in the bottle. So, but sometimes I get lazy and I just take the cinnamon and I just pour it in the bottle and shake it, But in this particular occasion, I took the time to do a proper infusion, and I left the cinnamon inside of it. And I brought a bottle of cinnamon, and I brought a bottle of vanilla, and my friends went nuts over it. They really went nuts over it. But I also brought my 12-inch Dutch oven and 6 kinds of beans. I had 2 cans each, and I had yellow beans, red beans, and black beans. Yes, they do, but I'm going to talk about those in a few minutes. I am not a fan of those things at all. Because those people are not Taiwanese, and it's not because they're not Taiwanese, it's because they don't have a driver's license, there's no license tag, they don't have any insurance, they don't have any money, they drive recklessly, they're from another country. If they hit your car, there's nothing you can do. Unless you want to get physical and violent and demand their documentation and take it from them, or probably what I would do is just confiscate those machines. Those machines are about $1,200 to $1,500 US dollars. Now here's one right here. Look at this. This thing is aluminum. I mean, look at these things. That thing is machined aluminum. Okay, with plastic covers on it. It's expensive, man. That's an expensive thing right there. That thing right there is $1,000. Now this is somebody who's from the Philippines, and that's more than they make in a month. So this is what ticks me off, because I have many Filipino friends in Taiwan that work, and I know the whole story. I know how much they have to pay brokerage fee and everything. And so it means that these guys are not sending the money back home to their family. They're spending it on these cool motorbikes. And I'll give you 3 guesses why they're doing that. And the first 2 don't count. So why do you think these guys, these migrant workers who don't make that much money, are spending more than a month's salary to buy a fancy motorbike? See, you don't need a license, don't need to register it, don't need any insurance. You just go to the stupid place and you buy them. And the other thing about it too is a lot of these Vietnam stores, there's places like Win-Wins that are just restaurants and KTV, and they're selling these motorcycles. They're not going to guarantee them. Come back with the thing and it's broken. Oh well, too bad. So why do you think? 1-800-254-TALK. That was the old Talk America radio network. I wish we could take. I wish we could take call. So he just, went into the store to get cigarettes, and he's taking off now. That's not him. They don't make any noise. The other thing is they don't make any noise, and you're walking across the street and you're looking, and you can't hear anything, and all of a sudden one of these guys comes around the corner, and they always come around the corner on the wrong side of the road because they drive like it's Manila, and the Vietnam guys have them too. And I don't know if you've ever seen any of John Sabo's videos, but do you think Vietnamese people know how to drive? It's not a stereotype. I'm talking about Vietnam people in Vietnam. They drive horribly. Well, I'm going to tell you the answer. It used to be to get a girl, you had to have a bike. To get a girl now, you got to have one of these machines. And many of these guys, I know many of these guys personally, and they're married, and they have wives and kids at home. And all these guys marry young. They marry like in their early 20s. So they're coming here, they're 26, 27. I know a guy that was 28, had 4 kids. I'm just telling you, they're all married virtually, all of them. They got kids at home, and they're cheating here. I've seen their girlfriends. I have been sitting at this table with Filipino guys cheating on their wives. When their wives call them on their mobile phone for a video call, and they turn because they don't want them to see that there's a girl over here that he's hanging out with, and she's got her arm around him. And so these motorcycles, these electric bikes, it extends the range of their adultery. But here's the bad part. I'm going to say it. I've been here a long time. I know what I'm talking about, and it's not wrong to tell the truth, even if people don't like it. These guys don't think ahead very far. Because one guy, one day, that I've known for, he's been here 3 or 4 times. See, they have to leave every 3 years, and then they go back to the Philippines, and they have to start over and come back. And they may not even come back to the same area. So they buy one of these scooters, and everybody knows when they leave. So they're thinking, oh, I'll just sell it. But everybody knows that you're leaving, and they know when you're leaving. So what they do is they wait until the day you're going to go, like you're on your way to the airport, and you go, I'll tell you what, I'll give you 5,000 NT. I'll give you like 150 bucks for it. Okay, sold. Or the one that I like is, well, won't you? Yeah, of course, when they come back, it somehow got stolen. You know, this is how it happens. And I know it happens because this is what happens with their bicycles. And the bicycles aren't worth anything. And nobody will steal bikes anymore because they got scooters now. So here's what happens. Like, these guys, they don't think very much ahead. Hey, anyhow. And because one guy was saying, he was complaining about how he didn't have any money. And I said, well, you want a 3,000 NT raise a month? He goes, yeah, it's about 100 bucks. I said, he goes, yeah, how can I get that? I said, well, how many packs of cigarettes you smoke every day? And he goes, 1. You smoke a pack a day, so it's like 30 packs a month. Yeah. Okay, and how much does each pack of cigarettes cost? So he says 100 NT. He actually said, I never thought of that. So I asked him one day, there's a whole bunch of guys here. I said, every one of you guys smoke. Look at me, I don't smoke. But why do you guys smoke? And they started talking in Tagalog. And what they're doing is they're asking each other, what do we smoke? And the guy said in English, he goes, we don't know. We just do it because everybody else does it. So yeah. But the reason I don't like those scooters is they are everywhere. And they're cheap enough that these guys can afford them, even though they really can't. But they do it anyway. And they're reckless. They're very, very, very reckless. They like to go places and do stuff and cigarette smoke and party with, you know, women who they're not married to. And so it's kind of an issue. So that's what's going on. And it started out with a bicycle. See, what happened is years ago they would have a bicycle with pegs on the back. You know, just like where the dropouts are in the back axle, and the woman would just stand on those pegs and ride around, you know, with her hands on the shoulder of the man riding the bike. And that's how it was. The woman was always standing up in the back, and the man was riding. It was, you know, driving, I guess. And I haven't seen that for years. But all the Thai girls are like that. Vietnam girls were like that with their boyfriends, and many, many, many of the Filipinos were like that. They were all riding around like that. Don't see it anymore. They're all on these electric scooters. And on the back of the scooter, there's a license plate, but it's not a number. It says Dian Dong Te, which means like electric powered car. You know, they call it everything a car. But all right, tell you what, I'm going on the back because after this car, there's another one coming. Watch this thing. I can barely see it. It's got purple lights on the ground. You guys ready for this? Okay, watch this. When this light turns green, okay, it's going to turn green. Watch this. Watch this one. This is machined aluminum billet. Look at this thing. The girl in the back. I guarantee you they're not Taiwanese. There's no money, there's no license, there's nothing. And you saw him when he turned, he was on the wrong side of the road. And this is how many times, I can't tell you how many times a week I almost hit these people with my car because they're not where they're supposed to be. Well, depending on the car, you know, in 1988, could have been a DeLorean, but not for 20,000. But depending on the car, it could have been worth more today. So I didn't tell you guys, and you didn't notice because I wasn't on the back camera, but the police just pulled by and they just stopped at the traffic light and they looked at me and I'm talking to my phone and I got my mask off. My mask is sitting there, but I'm drinking, so they didn't say anything. So if they said anything, it would have been cool because it would have been on camera, and you guys would have got to see me talk to the Taiwan police, and they're really, really nice. Oh, the Chevy. It is dangerous, Ken. It's dangerous because how they drive. And the other thing, too, is just because you got money to buy it doesn't mean you have sense to drive it or sense to maintain it. So here's the other thing that happened. And I got tons of these. What I used to do is I used to take videos. I would just put my camera up and just take videos all day. These things shooting by. There's tons of them, you know. It's Win-Win's ex-husband. The Chevy ROC. The Chevy Republic of China. That's funny. What is this? Oh man, what is that? Oh, that's one of those. That looked like a new. I wish I had known that was coming. That looked like a new Toyota Supra. Is what it looked like. Have you seen one of those? Anyway, they're supposed to be pretty hot. They're supposed to be kind of close to a GTR in performance. So these two girls, I was actually here at Jarjar. I came up here to buy something, and these two Vietnam girls, they pulled up on one of these scooters, electric scooters, and they're on the wrong side of the road. And they pull up, and she steps, you know, she squeezes the brakes, and it makes this blood-curdling screech, right? And you know this sound. Okay. Vietnam is not a car country. Taiwan's not really a car country. I tell Taiwanese people, you know, that my dad taught me to drive when I was 16, then gave me his old car. And they're like, really? I go, yeah. So I know that. So I tell them, you know, I've been driving since I was 16, and they're like, they freak out, and I had my own car. So I see a lot of guys on the side of the road with a hood up, and they're just kind of scratching their head. Something's wrong with the car, but they don't know where to start to even look, right? And I used to do a lot of the work on my own cars in the States. And so a couple of times here in Taiwan, I have actually had to challenge some of the advice that I got. Like, I'm going to finish the story about the girls, and I'll tell you what I'm talking about. So these girls pulled up, and this blood-curdling scream. So I said to her, I said, Miss, excuse me, do you know what that sound means? And she goes, no. And I said, that sound means that it's maintenance time on your scooter. And she was like, oh, that's what it means. I said, yes. And if you don't do the maintenance, then you're not going to be able to stop. You're going to try to stop one day and you're not going to be able to stop. I don't know if it registered, but at least I told her. But my wife and I went to Elon. You guys saw when I was doing the live streams from Jiaoxi and some of those places on the East Coast, right? Oh, were they? Okay, well, it's a good thing you didn't buy them. We have Camaros here in Taiwan. There's a lot of guys driving around with yellow Chevys that look like Bumblebee, and they actually have the Transformer symbol on the back. It's pretty funny. So you guys remember that when I had hurt my foot and I was walking slow, but I was walking around those places where they had the kind of like the triangular beams. You know, you guys remember that when I was in the hot springs area in Elon. While I was there, I was having trouble with my in-dash infotainment center, you know, and it was time to replace it. I'd had it for I don't know, 7 years or something, right? Hey, Matthew, fist bump to you. How you doing? This is probably one of my most controversial streams because I'm talking about stuff that people don't like. But, anyway, that's Wenwen's chief cook there. I don't even know her name, but she's a really nice lady. She's the one that's been cooking the eggs for me, you know, when I go there. So I decided to get a new one, and I talked to my wife about it, and we went to the place where we always go get our, hey, take care, Ken, have a good day. Yeah, I know you got to get off to work pretty soon. And maybe I'll catch you later on, you know, on your coffee stream from my bed. I know it sounds funny, but so we had just put this new entertainment center in, you know, and we went to the place where we get all our accessories done. Like I had the dash cam and the rear camera put in there and all kinds of stuff, and they put the GPS in and everything. I went back to the same place, and this is an Android version. It's got Google Maps on it and everything, YouTube. I mean, my wife's at the store. I'm watching YouTube videos. It's really cool. I get to see, like, and I get all my notifications and stuff. So, like, you know, Dave and Ken and all you other guys that I follow, half the stuff I watch from you guys, I'm watching in my car because I got a great stereo in the car, too. But the screen, it's, you know, 7.5 inches. It's a pretty good sized screen, you know. It's like a large towel, or like a decent sized towel, but these things are very complicated, and there's a lot of ways to hook them up. And what they did not do was they did not hook up the key switch kill to where when you turned off the key and pulled the key out of the ignition, it cut power to the Android infotainment system, and it kept running. Would go dark, but it was draining the battery in the background, and we didn't know it. And we went to a hotel, and we went in the underground parking garage, and we had stayed at this hotel for a couple of days, and I didn't have to go anywhere. They got restaurants. It was a resort, you know, had beautiful hot springs, and we didn't go off the premises. It was on the top of like a mountain. And what happened was 2 days later, I went down to the garage, and vroom, we've all been there, right? Vroom, there's nothing. The lights are and this is bad because, you know, cars these days are all computer controlled, and you can do like low voltage things, or you can overvolt them with jumpers and stuff. And I'm like, oh great, okay, well, this is going to end up costing me money. And my wife says, what do we do? I said, what we got to do is we have to call a local like battery shop or something, and have the kid come out and give me a jump. He says, okay. He says, tell him it's a diesel. So my wife knows this now, because diesels draw more current. So she says, she'll tell the guy, it's, you know, this is Sayo, which, you know, diesel car and stuff. So sure enough, it's like 25-year-old kid. To me, I'm 65. They're all kids. He's a man. He comes. So the man comes over, and he's a kid, and then he doesn't have any experience. So here's, all right. Let me take this question first. I don't know. It depends. I don't know. I wouldn't want to do that. See, the cameras usually, those kind of cameras usually are wired. So I don't know how you would get it into an iPad. You know, and it only comes on when you're in. It only comes on when you're in reverse on the display, but it records all the time. So I actually have two cameras. I have a camera that records all the time on a separate dash cam unit, and then I have a backup camera. So, yeah, Mike, it's false economy, because what will happen is something bad is going to happen, and you're going to need to rely on that, and you won't have it. See, my dash cam, everything's on one card. It makes a separate file for the front camera and the rear camera. I went to the website that made the camera, and downloaded their management software. Their management software reads the GPS track on those files, and as you're watching the video in one window, in the other window you got the map and you're looking at where you're going. You can't beat that kind of stuff. Don't cheap out and try to do it with something you already got, because it won't work. It'll look like it'll work, and then one day something will happen. You'll get in a crash and you go, oh, it didn't record, because you cobbled something together. So, but those cameras are normally wired, and they're normally not Wi-Fi. And the other thing too, so you're talking about, you said display on an iPad mounted on the dash for navigation. So what are you going to do? Split screen it? The problem is you don't really want to be looking at the back camera so much unless you use it for a rear view mirror. So the primary function is to record it. They do have rear view mirrors that are not mirrors, that are only cameras, and those are cool too. That'll probably be my next upgrade. But anyway, so my wife calls the garage and the guy comes down. Okay, well, Mike, I've been there, done that. I just don't want to steer you wrong. I mean, the answer to your question is, yeah, you could cobble something together. But here's the thing. There are certain things that you can't compromise on. You can't. One of them is morality. Another one is integrity. Another one is honesty and safety. Those four things you absolutely cannot compromise on any of them. And the ones that people compromise the most is safety. We got people around here. There's a guy in my neighborhood that wears a hard hat for a motorcycle helmet. Now, hard hats don't ordinarily come with a chin strap, and he jury-rigged up a strap. Now, you know what's going to happen. He's going to get in an accident. He's going to fly off the handlebars. The first second that his hard hat touches something, that jury-rigged strap is going to come loose. It's going to probably cut him or something, abrade him, because it's going to whip like this. That hard hat's going to go flying, and his head is going to hit the pavement. All right. So our battery's dead, and the guy comes down. And, what I hate is, because it puts my wife in a position, because she has to help me with the precise translation, especially of technical terms. I can tell the guy, what's the basic things, but my wife has to jump in and help, right? But what happens is, when the kid says something that I know is crap, and I have to explain to my wife that it's crap, and she has to somehow politely tell to the kid that I told my wife that what he told me was crap. And, it's just, so I don't like those situations, because it puts like a tension between my wife and I. So I just remind myself, I remind my wife of things like, how many cars do you think I've jumped in, since 16? 100? 1,000? I don't know. But, I was jumping cars before this guy's parents were married. These guys' parents were in high school, or not even, probably junior high school. So I was cool, but so he puts the jumper cables on, and it's like, it doesn't do anything, because he didn't let it sit. And even though we told him it was a diesel, he didn't bring a high enough powered battery. He brought an actual battery, which is funny, because one time I had a battery go dead, and I was way up on a mountaintop near my friend Adam's house, and this guy brought this little thing that looked like a battery bank. And I was with my friend Ed, and Ed's a maintenance engineer for, like buildings, HVAC and elevators and stuff, so he knows what he's talking about, power. And Ed and I looked at this thing, and he hooked, the battery cable clips, were bigger than this little battery box. And we looked at each other, and the guy's Taiwanese. He couldn't understand English, but we weren't like being disparaging, but we just looked at each other and said in English, I don't think that thing's going to start this engine. He goes, no, there's no way it's going to start that engine. I say, yeah, especially because it's a diesel. It draws more current because it has to heat the glow plugs and stuff. So the guy tells me, he says, go ahead, get in the car, and he hooks on it and started. It started up immediately, and I looked at Ed, and his mouth was wide slap open, and so was mine. We're like, whoa. So we never, and after that, I'd seen those in a couple places. I told my wife, I said, we need to get one of those. That's one of the things that that started our car up on the mountain. So this kid brought down a real 12 volt 6-cell car battery, and it didn't start the car. So he tells my wife, well, we got to go get the tow truck. And my wife's telling me, and I'm like, did he say what I think he's got to get the tow truck? I go, he doesn't need the tow truck. He needs to leave it on. Just leave it on for 5 minutes. And so she said, no. She said, my husband wants you to just leave a connector for 5 minutes. And he says the thing that whenever they say this, I get mad. Mail bonfire. That just means like there's no way to solve this problem. There's no solution. They always say, mail bonfire. That's the thing they say in China a lot. When it's like saying there's no use. Mail bonfire. And I said, you're, and I said, I just want 5 minutes, And so while he was, I had to keep him busy for 5 minutes because a man waiting for 5 minutes, it's like an eternity. So I just talked to him a little bit about, some of the cars I had in the past and stuff. And I looked at my watch, and 5 minutes went by. And I got in the car and I went, and started right up. And I didn't bother with I told you so. Yeah, I'm 65. I've been doing this since, And I just said, hey, cool. Thanks for your help. And he was stunned. He was like me and Ed on the mountain. He was like, he never did that before. He never let it sit there and make the power transfer back into my battery. So both of them would have some kind of a charge, even though it was uneven. The problem is when I was trying to crank that engine, it was still trying to put too much energy into, because it's in parallel into the battery, and so that was it. Anyway, the negative on U.S. cars, or the earth, they say, always goes to the chassis. So if you're talking about on the chassis of the starter, well, yeah, it doesn't really matter. The reason that I put the positive on first, because the positive lead from wherever your source is always has to go to that cable that's on the battery. Otherwise, it won't go to the starter, because that's where that cable goes to. Take care, Matthew. Thanks. See you now. But the whole car body is negative. So you can put the negative battery cable anywhere. And usually, if you touch it to the battery terminal, it makes a spark. And if there's any kind of a leaking gas, I don't mean liquid gasoline. I mean gas from the battery. Gaseous gas, not liquid gas, coming from the battery, you could start a fire or a small explosion. So I usually put that on the frame somewhere away from the battery, and that's probably what you're talking about, is putting it on the side frame of the starter. But let me tell you something. In my car, it's a 1.6 diesel transverse mounted transaxle, and you look in there, and you can't even stick your hand in there. There's no way. So there happens to be a strut, across the engine compartment from the side rails there, and it's not really a frame, but it's a unibody. And so there's a big honker acorn nut on top of that thing. That's the perfect size. It almost looks like that's what it's for. So I'll take my positive and put it on the battery, on the terminal. and I'll take the negative and I'll just crank it on that acorn nut, and that does it. Now there's something I wanted to talk about tonight. How tired are you of hearing about disinformation? Disinformation. What a word, disinformation. See, looks like Ken's going live right now. I just got a notification that says made a cinnamon and vanilla coffee. No, I'm sorry. Nope. I guess that wasn't live. That was a comment that he made on a video. Okay, wow. Sorry, I misunderstood the notification. That's cool because it's going to say I'm infringing on Ken Rod's stream. Misinformation. It's such a weird term. Or, excuse me, disinformation. Because if you said to somebody, that person is dishonest, what would that mean? That would mean that they're not honest. It's the opposite. You put dis on the front of it, it makes it, the opposite, right? Appear. So, if you said someone was disingenuous, it means that they weren't genuine, So how can information be uninformation? It's disinformation, they say. No, it's information. So let me ask you this. You're a parent, and you have rules. And the rules are, kids, no snacks before dinner time. Okay? No snacks before dinner time. We want you to eat your dinner. We want you to eat your vegetables and everything that, for you and whatever. So, no snacks before meals, right? Sure does, doesn't it? It's used for a lot of stuff. So what if you found out after the fact, one of my kids took a cookie out of the cookie jar. Let's just pretend that, wholesome America still exists and people have cookie jars. At any rate, you caught your kid, not in the act, but after the fact, that they ate a snack before dinner. So at the dinner table, you go, well, Joey or Sally or whoever it is, you took a cookie and you know the rules, and they say, no, I didn't. But you know they did. How would you respond to that? Would you say, you're giving me disinformation? Or what if your kid said, I didn't lie to you, I didn't tell you an untruth, I gave you disinformation. Would you accept that? Well, Dean, I think you have earned your check for the week, because that's what it is. It's like beauty. It's in the eye of the beholder. You see, I don't call the things that are being said about certain forms of COVID-19 treatment, J-Boy, fist bump to you, or anything else that you can think of that's being labeled as disinformation. I don't call it disinformation. I call it lies. They're lies. It's amazing because, recently it was the 20th anniversary of 9/11. Remember, there used to be a group called 9/11 Truthers. Remember? Truthers. They called these people truthers. What a contrast. So, what were the other people? Well, I call them liars. What is going on? We're fighting against disinformation. No. You're lying. Because what Dean said, right here, this is it. What Dean said goes right there. Okay? That's it. I appreciate it, J-Boy. I'm doing good, man. How are you doing? How are you feeling, after the second jab that took 80-some days? How you doing, man? Everything okay? Sometimes I think about you, and I worry about where you're at. But I know there's some Taiwanese vaccines that you can get. And I'm happy to report that other than being tired for a little while, I've had absolutely no side effects from the Medigen. And the only thing is that only side effects I'm having is because I stupidly have not been getting enough sleep. I've been too busy. But there's a woman, they call her Orange Woman, and she speaks for the White House. And I'm so sick and tired of seeing YouTube videos of her talking about disinformation, and we're fighting against disinformation. So that's not what the government is for. Okay, now I'm just going to do this, and we'll see what we can do about taking. There you go. I had an attorney years ago. He was a tax attorney. He's the guy that took care of my trust and everything. And he was a big limited government person. Good. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. And what's really strange is I read the other day that the CDC in the United States does not count deaths from COVID-19. How did that work? If a person got their second jab and it was less than 14 days since the second jab, they didn't count the death as from COVID. It was really weird. They're playing with the numbers. They're fudging the numbers. And so that kind of stuff is called disinformation, but I call it lying. Okay? So I don't allow my daughter to give me disinformation. And I call it lying if she lies. She never does. My daughter has only lied to me like I can think of, like 2 times. It's because I taught her that it's wrong, and I taught her that it violates the laws of God and man, and that God knows about it. And so the last time that I caught her in a lie, I just asked her, what does God think about it? She started busting out crying. Coco, how are you? Fist bump. Always a pleasure to see you. We missed you lately. They are. We're talking about, Coco, it seems like your timing for coming in on like controversial topics is like amazing. But I am going to take a guess. Knowing you, as long as I've known you, I'm guessing you're probably like fed up to here with hearing the term disinformation. Am I right? Because as I was saying before, if you said so-and-so was dishonest, right? Yeah, that's Mike. Let me tell you, I can't argue with you, and I violate all of those things. If someone said so-and-so is dishonest, it would mean that they were not honest. So what does disinformation mean? It's not information? No, it's still information. It's just what Dean says. If you look back here, Dean says that, he says, would disinformation be information not following the narrative? So that's it. That's what it is. So was it uninformation? I mean, it might not be helpful. Sometimes people will give you some information or advice, and you say, well, that information is not helpful, but you can't say it's not information. So, yes, they would. You know what I would like to see? Okay, hands up. Who wants to see Coco at a press conference? Asking the tough questions. You know, so. Oh, are you? Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. It is. And the funny thing of it is, right, is COVID fatigue. You don't even have to get the disease to have it. But I'm sick of disinformation. And Coco, one of the things that I said, remember, because 9/11 just passed, you know, the 20th anniversary. Remember there was a term for people who were trying to find out what really happened? Because, you know, Dr. Judy Wood pointed out in her book, Where Do the Towers Go? They turned into dust. They dustified and they blew away. And that whole thing about how, you know, they said that it was all the scrap was sold to China, that was a lie. That never happened. And so there was a whole group of people that were trying to find the truth, and they were called 911 truthers. Imagine that you have to define people as truthers. So the other people, I would just call liars, you know, so. Yeah. That is what would happen. That is what would happen. And they would find a way to make it racist. See, I gotta tell you, that's one thing it's hard for me to speak out on certain things because I'm an easy target. You know, you know what I learned this week? I learned that racism is deep inside of me because I'm white. I can't help it, but I don't know it. I don't know I'm a racist. I heard this. I learned this week from some very intelligent people with college degrees and who were supposedly a lot smarter than me, that it is ingrained in me because I'm white to the point where it's like bad breath. You know, everybody else knows I have it, but I don't. And the other thing is that I'm a misogynist. And if I try to deny either one of those two things, it's proof that I am. So, I'm not going to deny that I'm a racist and a misogynist. Tell you what I am going to deny. I'm going to deny the fact that there are races of human beings. That's not disinformation, that's a lie. And as far as misogyny goes, you know, I had to look that term up. Of course it is. I had to look up misogyny up. But what kind of a world do we live in where you can't hold the door for a female or someone who you think is a female or may identify as a female because they get upset? Did you guys see that that YouTube short where a woman was on a train? I presume it was a subway, and I don't know, but she was standing, holding on, you know, to the overhead rail, and she says, "Look at this! This is ridiculous." So she panned her camera around, and all the seats were taken up by men. And she said, "This is ridiculous. All these men got the seats." And the comment section was just off the charts. The comment section was, "Welcome to equality. This is what you wanted. What are you complaining about?" So, gosh, be careful what you wish for. I'm so glad that you guys that follow me, I mean, we see things eye to eye. And Phoenix, right? She's almost 9. She's going to be 9 next month. And boy, it is starting to... her eyes are really starting to open. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any of this wokeism here in Taiwan. See, I've had the talk with my daughter, about pedophilia. I've had to talk about sexualizing children, using appropriate language for her age. Unlike those teachers that you've seen, like on Project Veritas and other videos, who are openly sexualizing children, I use appropriate terminology with my daughter, and she knows what I'm talking about, but it's not graphic. And I've had to talk about wokeism. I've had to talk about politicizing things in the classroom. And she knows that no matter what the problem is, she can talk to mommy, she can talk to papa, and we're not going to chastise her for something that's going on. See, a lot of children are made to feel guilty, about talking about these things that go on. And the other thing that Phoenix knows is that anybody who tells her to keep a secret from mommy and daddy is wrong. And that she should always tell us the secret. And so she gets it. She knows this. I've had these, and it's a shame that I have to do this, that parents have to do this. But if you don't do it, the consequences are tremendous. So fortunately, we have private schools here in Taiwan, and the vast majority of the teachers are from South Africa. And I don't have a lot of experience with South Africans, but they're kind of like a no-nonsense kind of people from my experience. And they don't put up with that kind of stuff. And so, yeah. But the good part about it is the curricula doesn't have any of that wokeism in it. Because one of the things that came out recently in that Project Veritas video, about the meeting with the school board, was that the school board had charged all the parents and they had bought new textbooks for the school. But the teachers had brought their own lesson plans. And these lesson plans were from some woke website or something. There's a whole network going on. And they were teaching, one father said that her daughter came home and she said that her civics class was canceled and it was replaced with social justice. Okay, well, you see where that's going. And so the daughter said, my first day of school, the first day of class, they ridiculed me and belittled me for my color. These South Africans are Caucasian, I think, and my daughter said that there's one lady. She said, I think my daughter said there's one lady that's black, and I don't know if she's from South Africa, but anyway, we have some close friends here in Taiwan that are from South Africa. And they're black, so they got everything in Africa. It's a big place. It's 52 countries, I think. So it is a difficult topic. Yes. Yeah. Well, it's interesting, right? It's like I go back far enough. And I know Coco goes back far enough, and some of the the wax dripped out. Some of the other broadcasters that are older like me go back far enough. Yes, and I remember the civil rights movement when I was a kid, and I specifically remember my father telling me, "Make sure you don't use the term colored anymore." And I said, "Why?" He says, "Because nobody likes it. So if you're going to talk about a person that's not white, call them black." I said, okay. So my father actually did me a solid by hipping me up to that because I was a kid. But here's the thing. How come it's okay in wokeism to say people of color? First time I heard people of color, I said, what? Whoa. What is this? 66 again? If you can't say colored people, then you can't say people of color. It's the same thing. I just think it's stupid. And I get so sick of it because, I don't think about this stuff. Nobody thinks about this stuff. And when you watch these videos, right? Like you watch videos of Hurricane Katrina and the Cajun Army, and people working together. It doesn't matter. You see a hand sticking out of the water that needs help. Now, somebody don't say, oh, there's a black hand sticking out of the water. Oh, there's a white hand. Oh, no. They go, there's a hand sticking out. Let's go grab it. That person needs help. They don't care about that stuff. And you look at if you guys saw that thing on Project Veritas of those parents, that's the kind of diversity that the school board hated, because behind that podium was people of every kind of ethnicity that you can imagine, and they were united in that one thing, was that they were against what that guy, Gabriel Geip, was teaching their children, trying to make them revolutionaries and stuff. So, this is where we're headed. And, Coco and I have talked about this, and we talked about this in our line group, and I've talked about it with Dave and Ken and Matthew, and even you, J-Boy, here, and Mike. Rob Ebner's another one that goes back. We solved it. We solved it. The problem is gone. Don't bring it up again. Don't ever bring it up again. I don't ever want to hear it. And in my house, you're not allowed to refer to people like that. It's... In my house, you're not allowed to say things like, who happens to be black. That's, God, I would hear that. And I would be like, what, did he have an accident? What do you mean he happens to be? What? That's disinformation. That's not even information. That's like, so what was the purpose, of that? And so I just, Phoenix and I have a lot of time together working on lessons, where she's looking at her book, and they have people depicted of all different, backgrounds, and it's, it's the man in the yellow shirt, the lady in the red shirt, and that's how, that's how we refer to people. But I'm so sick of this. I am so sick of this. And people ask me, why don't you want to go back to the States? Because I'm one of the hated. I'm a racist, misogynist, and I'm a colonizer. Even though my family came to the United States in the early 20th century, I'm a colonizer. And what else? Oh yeah, well, the easy one is I eat meat. So yeah. So I was asking a question, and this is funny because I was asking Coco about, was she sick of disinformation? See, I was saying yesterday they would throw me off the mic, and they would, and she said I'll get in the TV and say the truth. But see, they don't want the truth. And the truth is, and they hate it when people who don't fit their profile are against them. Like that thing that Joe Biden said when he told that guy, he said it. Remember what he said? What was it? He said, if you don't vote for me, you aren't black. Am I an Irishman? That's funny. That's a good question. As you know, my family name is Klein, K-L-E-I-N, which is German. The original name was Klein Meyer, and my grandfather changed it, for business purposes, and he had a famous five and dime store called Klein's in Buffalo, New York. And I guess there's still a store named Klein's in Buffalo, but I don't know anything about it. But my mother's side of the family is Lunderman and O'Brien. So yeah, I am half Irish. But on my mother's side, even though she's Irish, they were in the States, and they were up in Ogdensburg, which is just on the other side of the St. Lawrence River from Ottawa. But strangely enough, some of my family's from a little more east, from Quebec. And apparently, according to my mother, we have some French, and she didn't specify, but it obviously would be French Canadian. And the other thing that's really strange is completely unverified, but my father told me that all his life, his mother, my grandmother, claimed to be part Blackfoot. It's an indigenous American, Native American. I like to use indigenous American because I'm Native American because I was born there. But indigenous American, I think that's a more proper term. So, yeah, which is cool because if I could prove that I had a sufficient amount of Blackfoot, I could have a really portfolio, and live on tribal land. That'd be cool. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, there is a comment word length. But so show of hands if you're absolutely sick of this stuff. And I don't know if Coco's still with us or she had to go do something. A lot of times she'll just be listening in the background. But show of hands of who's sick of all this stuff, this wokeism and all this. And so I just don't want to hear the term disinformation. So what it's causing me to do, it's causing me to just not listen. Because it's not like I really, really try to keep up with the news of what's going on in the States. But I do want to know a little bit, like, what's coming and things like this. And my customers, tell me things of what's going on too. I've had discussions this past week with two of my oldest customers, and both of them are telling me the same thing. And I had a studio client. He's an older gentleman. He's actually older than I am. And he called me up, and he was really depressed and upset about things that are going on in the world, and it's just dragging him down, and he's depressed, and people are under stress. And have you seen any of the studies that talk about the mental illness that's being caused by all the stress of these things? I mean, it's crazy. I don't know why, but I don't know why it is, but I said I read I think that means you're clapping, right? I hope it doesn't mean you're going like stop, but I think okay. Please confirm that. I read this thing that said something like 40%, or I don't remember, but a surprisingly high. And I'm just telling you what I read. I don't know how they derive this, but a surprisingly high number of leftist women have mental illness. And I was like, wow. If that's true, that would explain a lot. But it doesn't mean, you know, that we should hate these people. We should try to help them somehow. Because if you have a genuine mental illness, then you need help, right? I mean, you need treatment. It could be medical. It could be whatever. But so. Oh, which one was that? Was that? Are you, Coco? Are you talking about the Skylink? The Elon Musk one, the Skylink? Oh man. Well, when it's nighttime for you, right? It's daytime for me. So if it happened during your nighttime, I wouldn't be able to see it. Bet it was. Did you get any videos or? Oh, SpaceX. Wow. No, didn't. I read an article today that said that later this month, the first fully civilian crew is going to do an orbital flight. They're going to stay in Earth orbit for 3 days, and they're 100% civilians. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Thank you. Okay, I appreciate that. That makes sense. At least it wasn't a, you know. You know who's going to be mad about that, Coco? Richard Branson. He spent all that money on that beautiful, you know, double-hulled spacecraft, you know, that's going to take people up there and stuff. And Elon Musk just makes a rocket that looked like something out of the 50s. Wow. That rocket that he's got, right? I don't know if you guys have ever seen this movie called Rocket Ship XM. I'll tell you what I'll do. I have the movie. I will do a screen cap from Rocket Ship XM, and I will put it in the post at livestreaming.technology that corresponds with this video tonight, with this live stream tonight. So you guys see how much that rocket, the top of it, with the fins off the, you know, off the head of it, resembles that. It's amazing. So I bet it was. Saw it from the backyard. That's amazing. But like I said, Richard Branson is going to be mad because he wanted that Virgin, you know, company, and Virgin Space and all that to be the first one to take civilians into space. But so let me ask you this: if you really, did you get any video of that? Where did it take off from? I don't even know where that would be. Yeah, I bet he is. Well, I mean, the thing is, right, is what are that, and Jeff Bezos is another one. Why are these guys, okay, that makes sense. Why are these guys, why are they competing on stuff? Why aren't they collaborating? See, here's the thing. Elon Musk is putting Starlink up, right? And there's going to be something like a ridiculous number, like Cape Canaveral, okay. It's going to be a 5-digit number of these little satellites that they got up there for internet. But then Amazon has to do their own because they want to make their own money, so they're going to do the same thing, right? Yep. Well, hopefully, for the sake of space, it doesn't leave Earth's orbit and it eventually settles back down on Earth, but not good for us. But the point is, with kerosene, at least it's not. Some of those chemical rockets have dangerous elements, and at least the kerosene supposedly combusts to a higher degree, but who knows? It's a very good point. It's a good point that you make. And, you know, mankind has been pretty good about screwing up the Earth, and so they're going to do that. So, well, anything that you got, if you got any videos, any pictures, please post them to the group. I'd love to have those, and if you don't mind, I'll put them on on the forum too. But yeah, see, it's like, why does Amazon have to compete with SpaceX, you know, within Starlink, and do their own thing and pollute, you know, by having, you know, why can't they just work together? I mean, humans are always jockeying for position and for power and control. And, you know, it's one thing to be on the Earth and have competing telephone systems, right? So, no, wait a second. Hold on. Oh. All right, Coco, here's what we're going to do. We are going to download these right here, and we're going to show them right now, okay? Because we can, through the power of Prism. Wow. Okay. Are you ready? Wow, this is fantastic. Okay, so I can go ahead and pull this down. All right, no, not that. So. All right. Now, if I do this, what does that do? No, I don't want to do that. Let me go back to here and let me just. I should be. Oh, hang on. Sorry. I should be able to. Can I? No. Guess I can't get rid of that. Anyway, I've got. Never mind. You can't see this. Line is on my screen. This has never happened before, because usually when I look at my line notification, it switches the app, and it didn't. But let me do this. You just sent Coco a photo, and you sent a video. And if you don't mind, that's fine. I will add those right now and show those right now. Is that okay with you? Do I have your permission to show that right now? Can we do that? Oh, I got rid of it. Okay, I just dragged it from the bottom. Well, that's amazing. I'm actually using a new launcher the MIUI has updated. Okay, thank you. And so it's pretty interesting. So let's add these two things right here. It's going to take a second for it to scan. Hold on. This and this. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show the picture that she sent right here. Sorry, this is the video. Hold on, I'm going to show that in a second. This is the. Wait a minute. What am I doing? This is the photo. Look at this. That is really something. Wow. All right. What I'd like for you to do is, could you tell us what this is? Is that the separation, or is that, because it kind of looks like a comet. There's a main like trail, you know, like an exhaust trail, but then there's like a ray off the side. Is that where they separated? Is that what that is? And while I have you on the line here, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and just give me a short, well, take your time and give me a short little setup for the video. Oh, okay, so that is so cool. See, I've never seen that. I lived in Florida when I was a kid, and you know, like during the Apollo missions, and I was on the west coast of Florida, and Cape Canaveral was like right across the state, and sometimes you could like barely see the rocket going up, but I never saw anything that looked like that. Never saw anything that looked that cool. And you are in North Carolina, and you saw that, but it was because it was a night launch. Man, that must have been just wow. It's amazing. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on. This is in portrait mode. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and do this. And before I play this, I'm going to turn my. Well, let me ask you this: uh, is there audio on this movie that you want to be heard, or should I mute the audio, or is the audio important? Because if it's important, I'll turn my mic off, or I can just mute the audio if the audio is insignificant. If you just make a noise or something, or. But if you're giving us, like if you're giving us a blow-by-blow account on the, as the video's going on, we want to hear that. So right after separation, 2 minutes after. Okay. Well, I can't wait to play this video and see what it looks like. Oh boy, the power of prison. Yeah, and these videos, well, I don't know if I can at least put the yeah, why not? I bet you were amazed. Okay, well, let me turn off my mic, and so we'll just have your spontaneous sound, that whatever you're saying, when you shot the video. Okay, so let's do that. So let me do this, and I'm going to turn off my mic, and we'll just do it. The mic is off now.
I can see them going up into space. Wow. I can see them going up into space. Wow.
That was literally amazing, and I wasn't sure the video ended, so I just want to let it run when it went dark there. But man, let me tell you, what a thing to see. Oh, I would too. What a thing to be able to witness. And I understand why it was awe-inspiring. And you know what, the thing that got me is that thing was moving, wasn't it? I mean, Coco, that thing was like scary fast. Of course, escape velocity, is 7 miles per second. I learned all these things in miles per hour when I was living in the States. I don't know if they are in metrics, but yeah, it would be, yeah. Fantastic. So, thank you. You were running? Well, how were you using your gimbal? How did you get it so smooth? Wow, amazing. Yeah, I'm gonna put that video. I gotta figure out how. Well, I'll figure it out because my site, I can embed photos. I've just never embedded a video, so I have to figure out how to do that. But are you gonna? I'll tell you what. Are you gonna upload that to YouTube? You really should. If you upload that to YouTube, then I can embed it, and that'd be really cool. I think that'd be nice. If you wouldn't mind, that'd be good. And I get notifications, on your YouTube channel, so I would be able to, to know right away, and I could get the URL and put it on the site. So, wow. Fantastic. Well, excuse me, it's just my opinion that you should put yours. You should put your video on YouTube Live. Fantastic. Now, Coco, I don't get a chance to see you as much as I would like. And, you know, occasionally Phoenix asks me how you're doing. And so, one of the things I want to ask you about is, what have you been cooking lately? So I still have this dream. Guys, I'm going to tell you, this is, you want to know what people dream about, so. Yeah, they were big when I was a kid, too. I'm older than you, Mike, but SDs go way back, and some of my friends had SDs rockets, but my family wasn't, we couldn't afford, you know, for me to spend money on that, so. But that's okay. I had a guitar because one of my dad's friends gave me an electric guitar. That's why I started playing. But anyway, to pick up with, I'll try to go back to my train of thought. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind anybody interrupting. It's just fine. Talking about cooking. Yeah, I was going to ask Coco what she was has been cooking lately, and help me out. What was I going to say? This doesn't happen to me too often. It's because I've got lack of sleep. Because, you know, usually I'm pretty good at, you know, remembering all the different threads. Every once in a while I'll watch a replay just to check it for continuity, and I'll realize that I started to talk about something and we went on another, you know, but that's okay. And that's what happens. And when you do a talk show and you've got live interaction and so forth, so nothing special. Yeah, probably. Yeah, right. So she's been cooking, like, you know, roast duck, you know, almondine with an orange glaze sauce or something. So. But Phoenix is a huge fan of yours, and I remember what I want to talk about. You guys want to know what, you know, what MJ dreams about for the late night show. I have this, I guess you could call it a fantasy, but it's not like that, but I will definitely do that. I'll tell her tomorrow morning at the breakfast table, and she'll be very happy to hear that. I appreciate that. Thanks. I have this fantasy, but, you know, it ain't that kind of fantasy, guys. But the thing of it is, I know Coco is totally down for it, but it would be to have everybody from the late night group, everybody from all over the world, from wherever they are, to come to Coco's house for the weekend. This is funny. He says, I got less than 20% of the battery, but I'm on a battery bank. How can that be? I'm supposed to be. Why isn't it charging? This is weird. This is very, very odd. Oh, maybe that cable's bad. I don't know. Do I have another cable? Do I have another cable with me? I don't. I've only got the C to C. Oh my goodness. What is this cable? But it shows that my battery bank is draining. I don't get this. My you know. Yeah, well, I can think on my feet pretty well. This is not okay. This is not charging apparently. No, it's discharging. This is okay. Well, this is odd because I had. I gotta check this out. Look at this. My battery bank is blinking, and the power's going somewhere, but it's not charging. So I got 20% left. So anyway, no, off the cuff is good, and I'm used to it because doing the talk show and knowing that you got like 10 million people listening to you on the network. I was always prepared for stuff. We had a guy named Stu who was really good at thinking on his feet. And we had an emergency at the network, and he went on the air for an hour to fill in for somebody, and all he had was in his possession a newspaper, and he made a complete show out of just from a newspaper. So I don't know what's going on. My phone's not charging. So weekend at Coco's. That's what I'm talking about. And I talked with Coco about it, and all she ever says is, "Yeah, let's do it." So, but then we had the pandemic and everything. But the good part about it is Coco moved to a bigger place in the intervening time. She's got a backyard that's like 3 or 4 times as big. So yeah. A little bit about public speaking tips. Public speaking. Here, all right, Mike. Let me give you the number one rule of public speaking. Okay. Here's the number one rule of public speaking. Fail to prepare. Prepare to fail. That's the secret. It's preparation. See, I told you, Coco's waiting. We're waiting for this party. It'll happen. It'll just take a while. We got to get over this pandemic and stuff. And there's all kinds of things with travel restrictions that have to all be worked out. So, oh, that's too bad. Well, Matthew, the next time, right, that happens, give me a call, and I'll do a show over the phone, which I've done, because when I got injured, I did 2 actual Talk America Radio Network shows laying on my back on a mattress in my living room. You guys know Jim Mars. Jay Mars, he's in the late night group. He's one of my old friends from a long, long time ago. He was at my house that day because he came over to help me, and Mike Naselroad, who was acting as my producer for the show. These 2 gentlemen came over to my house. You guys know who I'm talking about, Jim Mars, right? He not too frequently joins us here on live, but he's in the late night group and he doesn't interact very much. But anyway, Jay Mars, anyway. Jim was at my house, and I was interviewing a lady that had been interviewed about 2 weeks before on ABC News. And I was laying on my back, and I had a headset on, and I had a blanket on, and my feet elevated. I had just ruptured my disc in my lower back. And the funniest thing Jim said to me, after the show was done, he came over to me where I was laying on the floor, and he said, MJ, that's one of the best shows you've ever done, and you did it laying on your ass. I was like, okay. But I prepared for it. Even though I was injured and hurt so bad, I laid on the floor with my notebook computer in front of me and just typing like this. I was very, very, very well prepared for that show. So well prepared that it didn't matter what my physical condition was. It was basically at the point where it's automatic. If you were going to give, let's just say you were going to give a 30-minute public discourse, a lecture, a speech, something like that. The general rule of thumb, now this depends on the individual, it depends on their temperament, it depends on how they learn, how they think. But just generally speaking, for every 1 minute of program material that you're going to be speaking, for every minute that you have to speak, you need to spend 5 minutes of preparation on. Okay? So if you're going to give an hour presentation, you probably need to spend about 5 hours on it, working on it. And that's just how it is. So that is the key. Now you guys have caught me sometimes when I haven't done that, especially if I'm using the software, in the studio, and I realize I'm halfway into something. I go, oh crap, I failed to prepare, so I'm going to prepare to fail because I didn't, load the photos that I wanted, or I didn't have the website ready that I wanted because I didn't do the preparation. And this is because of familiarity. See, I've been used to doing these mobile sessions where I can go, hang on a second, somewhere in my phone I got that picture and I can find it. Well, that's not always the case on the computer, because if I take a photo of my phone, it might not be accessible on my computer. I may not have uploaded it to Google Photos or otherwise. And so that is the thing. But the other thing is you have to have confidence, because like Stu Taylor did with the newspaper, if you called me, Matthew, and said, hey man, I need you to come on the air in 10 minutes, we're going to have a talk show about this and that, I would be able to do it because I don't have the fear. I've done it before. And so I have the experience, and I have the knowledge and the resources, mental resources and wherewithal. But I would still have to prepare. I just wouldn't have 5 hours for an hour show. But whatever you give me, 5 or 10 minutes or whatever, I'm going to intensely study and prepare for that. I would find some source material to talk about. And what you do is when you read things, you expound on it. If you're talking about a news story, and you say, for example, I'll give you one that was really hot, was the United States Taiwan wants to change the name of their unofficial embassy from the Taipei Economic office to Taiwan office. And so, you could just read that, or you could just read the headline, and it would be very short and shallow. But you can give some background to it, and you can expound on it, and that's how you do it. And when I'm even talking now on a live stream, even if there's only 1 or 2 people viewing, it doesn't matter. I am, wow, hang on a second, look at this. There's like a big truck with some kind of tubing or something, look at that. But even when I'm talking like on a live stream, I'm expounding on things that I've read, things that I've heard, and things that the viewers are saying. And what you do is, it's just the truth. It's just experience. What you do is you add. Oh, you know what? I need to go back. What he's doing. This guy is doing the world's greatest U-turn. Wow. I don't know what that was, but it looks to me like those cable raceways that they're going to bury underground. That's what it looks like to me. But basically what you do is you take whatever you're talking about and you add your personality and your experience and your viewpoint to it. But you have to know your audience, and you have to be careful not to alienate your audience by saying the wrong thing. I find that it's always better to not be too dramatic or too drastic on either side of an issue. And you guys know that I talk about things that happen in politics, but personally I'm politically neutral, and I have to be. But just because I'm aware of something and I give a report about it or talk about it doesn't mean I'm taking sides, you see. And that really, in the long run, helps you if you want to be a commentator, because then people don't really find fault with your politics because you don't have any. You're just you're just talking about it, and you're expounding on it and trying to maybe have people look at different viewpoints that they might otherwise not want to consider, but also not in a threatening or challenging way. It's a tightrope, if you're going to do politics. But what I did was technology. With the Talk America Radio Network show, I talked about technology, modem connectivity. The name of my show was called Modem Mania, back when we all used to use dial-up modems and look at BBSs and stuff, and whatever you could do with a computer PC with a modem, that's what I talked about back then. So yeah, and I've done a fair amount of public speaking. I've done a public speaking like in a congregation, but also in technical forums and like ham radio clubs, things like that. So yeah, the thing is, for me, I found, and sometimes I have asked, and Mike, you know this, sometimes I'll do like an AMA, ask me anything, and nobody will. And it's because I think they just would rather hear what I have to say, which is a shame, because I don't think I'm this oracle of knowledge. I have a lot of knowledge in a very narrow range, but I'm not like this. I'm not a highly formally educated person. I'm a self-educated person. But sometimes I kind of would like to do an AMA where we had a lot of questions and I had to flip back and look at them, and But again, I don't want them to be like all about me. Like, what are you doing? How long have you been in Taiwan? I want other things about things that are going on, in Taiwan and so forth. But John Ho seems to be really good at that, and his followers. He'll do an AMA, and John Ho will get like 60 or 100 questions. But the folks that follow me don't seem to be too much into the AMA kind of thing, 12%. I got to go home and find out why this stupid battery bank is not charging my phone, because I plugged it in immediately. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Dean, take care. Thank you. Well, Mike, I appreciate it. I don't think I'm beyond smart. I just think I learned some hard lessons, and I have actually. Every person has done things that they regret and things that they wish they had done a different way. And I have so many of those things. And so whenever something like that happens, I try not to forget it, just so I can learn the lesson from it and it won't happen again. And once I think I've learned the lesson, then I can sort of let myself kind of forget it. But a lot of lessons, humans can be dumb, and a lot of lessons that we learn can only seem to be learned, the hard way. And that's not a good thing. And I don't know why that is. I guess it's just imperfection and so forth. But I will tell you, there is a type of person that I cannot stand. And it is simply this, Mike. It's a person who is extremely opinionated, yet very naive and uninformed. And there are a disproportionate number of people like that don't like certain things, but don't actually have a reason why. They can't tell you a reason why. Those kind of people irritate me bad, because if you ask me a question about anything, why I like it, why I don't like it, I can tell you exactly in great detail. I could do a show, an entire show, on why I don't particularly like certain forms of music. I could do a show on why I don't like certain types of technology. I could do a show on why I like cinnamon. I know these things very well, and there are people that I know, even within my circle of friends, who are highly opinionated about things, yet they're uninformed. And when I point that out to them, they don't like it. They feel entitled to have an opinion without the corresponding knowledge that should go with it. And everybody knows who Jay Leno is, and one of my favorite things is to look at those Americans Are Stupid videos. And I saw one day that I had to rewind it and look. It was amazing. There's a young woman, she's attractive, college age young woman, probably 25. And Jay was asking her about North Korea. So what do you think about North Korea? And she's like, oh, it's a bad place. And he's like, well, what do you think? Should we bomb North Korea? And she says, we should definitely bomb North Korea. Okay. So he says, well, we happen to have a world map here. Could you show us where North Korea is? And she says, oh, well, I'm not sure, but I think it's over here. And she pointed to Yukon, Canada. I think it's up here. And you ask, he went on to ask her, so what exactly is it that North Korea has done that you think that the United States should bomb North Korea for? And of course, you could go to the bank, you could bet money. She had no idea, didn't have the slightest knowledge of anything that North Korea has done, or even the United States has done in connection with, just no knowledge whatsoever, but has a very strong opinion about it. Those kind of people they bug the crap out of me. I got 10% of my battery left. I got to go. They bug the crap out of me. Because those people grow up and they end up being managers in companies. Or worse, they run for some kind of an political office and then they become leaders and they do the same thing. They're not informed. So Mike, even though I would say that I am not formally educated, I would say that I am informed about things. And that's part of what the, prepare to fail kind of thing. I do not prepare for failure. I prepare for success. And I do not look at a risk when I do something in business as I'm going to risk failure. I look at a risk that I'm going to be really, really successful, and I might have a big problem on my hands because I got to have a lot of products made or things like that. So, well, the truth is I don't know anything about like the current state of home stereo. If you're talking about like home stereos and stuff, I don't know the current state of home stereos or anything like that. I can talk in general, about audio and about amplification and that kind of stuff. But I mean, the last home stereo I had was probably like about 1997 or something. I had an Onkyo, But I mean, I got the Atom T8Vs in my studio, but I got an X32 console in front of it, so it's a little bit different. But I mean, if you ask me specific questions about audio or things like speaker placement or room treatment, I can tell you about those things and things like speaker isolation or turntable isolation and so forth. But all right, I gotta go because my phone's not charging and I have no idea why. But I've got all this power in my power bank, and I apologize, but I just got to go because what'll happen is it'll just crash. That won't be good. So, you guys, take care. Thank you so much for joining. I started out with 75% battery power, and I plugged it in just to make sure that this wouldn't happen, and it is. So, I don't know why, but you guys take care. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Coco. Thank you, Matthew, and Dean is gone, Ken is gone, and Jay Boy, I don't know if you're still there, but thank you so much. And of course, David Osaka joined us at the very beginning. And everyone take care. Love all you guys. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. That's what I'm talking about. That was so fun.